What's up, everybody? Welcome to our channel. My name is Jose Rodriguez. Needless to say, Colorado is one of the most beautiful states in the country. The people I met, for the most part, were very kind and courteous. We're going to be looking at some footage that we recorded while we recently visited the state of Colorado. Before I went to Colorado, everybody told me that this was a place full of homelessness. Even worse, a lot of people told me that homelessness was a direct cause of the state's legal manja kawanja. On today's video, I want to show you the real Colorado. This situation alone does not define the entire state of Colorado. Many people found my Denver, Colorado video to be insensitive and judgmental. When I reviewed the video, I really didn't say anything that was offensive. The homeless are like a protected species, and activities that are illegal in many other states are not illegal or regulated as much in Colorado, so access to drugs and prostitution are a normal thing in the state. And that is the United States of America, where every individual state has a lot of rights, and Colorado has used their state rights to legalize the things that they believe are okay. So we're not going to talk about the moral aspect of this. I'm just giving you guys some context so you understand, if you're moving to Colorado, the type of place it is. And many people in Colorado expressed to me personally that they feel that this has brought the state a lot of problems. And again, I'm not taking sides on the issue. I'm just letting you know what the situation is on the ground, in case you're thinking about moving to Colorado, that you understand that this is the way this state works. If you compare Denver to a city like Miami, they both have a large homeless population. I can't think of a city the size of Denver that doesn't have this problem. There's so much more to Colorado than what people are putting out there. In places like Miami, Florida, where it's not legal, you still have a huge number of people who openly practice this. If you've ever been to downtown Miami at night during a weekend, you'll know what I'm talking about. Here this guy has a few bales and he's taking it out for his goats or something to get high. It's probably just hay, but we're trying to weaponize this video here. I was able to have a lot of conversations in restaurants, hotels, and it was a very nice experience to meet some of the locals. And while they often use the opportunity to try to convince you of their political views, just like they would anywhere else in the country, it was still a very pleasant conversation. I found the food to be incredibly awesome, the people to be friendly, and the natural settings and wildlife top in the nation. And this was my first opportunity to see what the west coast of the country is actually like. The state of Colorado is definitely not affordable. Not everything out here is expensive. If you're in a mountain region where it's nice and pretty like this, then you're definitely going to have to pay a top dollar for those scenic views. But if you get closer to New Mexico, there's definitely places that are less attractive. So you can live within the state somewhere affordable, but it's not going to be somewhere pretty. Colorado has given us some great people when it comes to actors, actresses, and of course we've all heard of the TV series South Park. Trey Parker, among the people you may have heard being from this state. Did you know that South Park is actually a real place? It's a small place called Fairplay. And while the locals recommended that we saw the Garden of the Gods, Fairplay is the real attraction. And bless your heart! Overall, Colorado is a very welcoming place. It's not like in the deep south where if you're not from there, they're going to treat you like crap. Colorado is diverse and there's people from all over. In fact, there's more people from other places in Colorado than there are the locals. And the locals, they feel like they're better than everybody else. They almost consider themselves like an exclusive club of some sort. Quite frankly, bless their hearts. Look guys, overall, I think people talk a lot of crap about Colorado, but it's really a great state to live, and I would actually see myself living here if one, I could afford it, and two, I could breathe, because I don't know if you realize this, but elevation sickness is actually a real thing. I had a nosebleed for about 4 days, and we decided to run down our trip a little bit shorter than what we had planned because I really couldn't breathe, and it was starting to get some type of, hallucinations and stuff, and just kind of lack of oxygen, lots of muscle cramps, and of course a non-stop nosebleed. So if you're not used to elevation, I would definitely recommend you visit Colorado first and make sure you can handle that before you just move there and find out you can't breathe. And you find yourself questioning whether Cartman is really riding an elk through downtown Denver, or if you've been deprived from oxygen so long that you're starting to hallucinate. To the point that some of our comments on our videos, people were saying things like, these two are high out of their minds. No, we were sober, we just couldn't freaking breathe. So if you've never been to Colorado, please make sure you can handle and prepare properly for the elevation sickness. Buying little oxygen canisters or a device for your vehicle that makes oxygen. Do something. Don't just end up in Colorado in the middle of a dust storm where you can't breathe, and then you're like, I can't breathe, man. Why is Cartman riding a goat down the road? It's actually a Subaru. Talking about Subarus, yes, they have a lot of Subarus in Colorado, and we did end up in a dust storm for some reason. It's not like I'm coherent when I can breathe either way. There was a liquor store about half a block from my hotel. I did not make it. Literally halfway through the parking lot, I was like on the ground with like rib pain or something. That guy must be from Florida or something. He's like totally passed out. I think that's really gonna be the biggest for anybody moving to Colorado. Elevation sickness. Believe me, it's a real thing. According to what the locals told me, there's a great economy and pay is actually pretty decent. However, housing costs here are among the highest in the nation. If you're able to afford it, I found the area near Littleton on the southwest corner of Denver to be very nice new suburban areas, but the state has beautiful areas all throughout, and usually the real estate price will be an indication of how desirable an area is. If you're looking for decent areas away from homelessness and addiction and problems, that you do not end up anywhere near the city core of Denver, do the best you can to stay on the outer outskirts of the city. Those areas are nice. Within the urban core of the city, you have some really rough spots. I even had to buy a sweet tea from a McDonald's so I could use their bathroom, since there's so much homelessness that most businesses are not going to let you use their bathrooms. I started up a little conversation with the McDonald's employee, and she said you have to be very careful walking on the sidewalks, since a lot of the homeless people can be very aggressive when they're begging. So while the vast majority of Colorado is a beautiful, nice place, like any large city, Denver is going to have its really rough sections. If there is one state I would love to go back to and see more of, it is definitely Colorado. In the comments section, I found people from Colorado calling me narrow-minded and backwards, and that's interesting because I feel that I don't embrace the regional views of where I live. Whether you try to or not, you're going to soak in the environment you live in. Because if you're from the East Coast, I will definitely tell you that this is a whole different world where people have completely different views. And that was part of the experience of traveling to Colorado as well. Alright, there it is, the state of Colorado with natural beauty. I would love to visit this state again and see more of its natural beauty. There's not enough time to see all of this state on a short trip like we did, and I really cannot wait to come back to Colorado. In the southern region of the state, where it's a little bit more dry and arid, I had some of the best Mexican food I have ever had. Seen some of the most amazing natural settings ever, met some courteous people, and I could barely breathe during the whole thing. So if you think you're ready for high elevation, high homelessness, and some beautiful natural settings, Colorado could be for you. And yes, it is legal in this state. However, there's probably more potheads in Miami than there are in the entire state of Colorado. And if you're moving to Colorado just because it's legal there, don't expect the locals to be too fond of you, since there's a lot of resentment about how this legalization has affected their state. and we got into two subjects that I try to avoid on this channel. But in order for you to understand what Colorado is really like, we really have to explore these topics. Some people are moving out of Colorado because the elevation sickness, even after many years, has not departed from them. To enjoy these beautiful natural settings, it's gonna come at a price tag. The goal of this channel is to help people who are moving understand the place that they chose a little bit better. And that is why we explore these topics that I usually avoid. I do feel that it's necessary for you to know this if you're thinking about moving to Colorado, since people are moving to the state and from it because of that.